Hello and welcome back to a hobby presentation. Today I want to talk a little bit about pen and paper role playing. So as you can see from the amount of books, we played a Pathfinder role playing game a long time, and recently we switched over to Dungeons and Dragons 5e. So I just wanted to compare the two a little bit and give you the thoughts on both and some homebrew rules that we play in our group. So Pathfinder was really a fun game after Dungeons and Dragons 3.5, and we didn't use the whole lore of Goldarian, but created our own campaign world where we played in, and that was really fun for our group to create the whole world and the history and the pantheon of our own world. But we played a long time and played different campaigns in the Pathfinder setup. Pathfinder, in my opinion, is problematic as you have to add very much bonuses and have to subtract and add all the bonuses and have to manage them somehow. So if you're then getting buffs or anything from the group and you also have some magic or anything going, you have to really much have to keep the overview over everything. And then if you play Dungeons and Dragons 5e, it's more so that you have advantage, disadvantage. That's the main mechanic with which you can play almost everything. Perhaps the classes and races are a bit more flat than the things you can do in Pathfinder, but as you see, we had much more resources for Pathfinder. For Dungeons and Dragons, we are mostly playing with the starter sets and the materials that are free available from Wizards for Dungeons and Dragons. And also, what we are playing, what I want to present is we are playing with luck dice. So I've got here some old dice boxes from the Warhammer games, and the dices are quite nice. I have very much of them, and every time someone in our group loses loses a roll, he gets one of the dices, and the dices can be added to any roll anytime. So every time you fail, for example, something like you want to jump somewhere or anything that fails, you get a dice. And if there are any things which you really want to success in, you can decide to take your rolls with your d6s, and after you rolled them, they are taken away from you. So it's really a good mechanic, because even if you fail, you have like the feeling that you get something, because every time you fail, you get a dice which can help you later on in the adventure. And for us, this is a mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons that we're using that's really fun, and and also set the pace a little bit. Of course, the dungeon master sometimes, if the players really want to have to success in a test or something, they can of course use very much of the dice, but then they are gone. And perhaps if the player, it is so important for him, it's a good feeling for the player, and of course the dungeon master have to think about the circumstances then a little bit more. But it's really a fun mechanic, and I can only advise you to test it out. So that's my thoughts on Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. I myself, I'm a little bit more invested in the D&D Beyond thing, so I'm trying out the new maps mechanics, and also I'm at the moment looking into Dungeon Alchemist a little bit deeper, and yeah, I try to get everything a little bit more in direction of VTT gaming. But in my opinion, Dungeons and Dragons really topped the fun in our group for the playing and everything. So it was a good decision, in my opinion, to switch the system over. Yeah, thanks for watching to this point, and happy gaming.